So this is a regular meeting of the Darien Advisory Committee on Sustainability. It is July 12th, and the time is 6 minutes past 12, and we do have a quorum present. Our recording secretary is not here, and I'm wondering if we have a volunteer to take minutes.
I'll do the minutes.
That's very kind, Carolyn. Thank you. The first item on our agenda was public comment. With no one in evidence here from the public, we will move on to the next item, which was to approve the minutes of the June meeting. I have read them and I found no problems. Kathy commented directly back with one small item which has been dealt with. And I'm just wondering, Carolyn and Dan, if you've had a chance to look at the minutes?
No, I have, not a problem.
Carolyn? Okay, so is there a motion to approve the minutes then?
So Cliff, I just wanted to comment. I know that I was not in the meeting. However, there is a section at the bottom with reference to the EV vehicles and the recommendation. So Tony, I don't know if you have seen that. So it reads like this. I think we may need to amend that. Sorry that I didn't get to it. So it reads, Tony has been doing background work, researching and meeting with companies to discuss charging equipment for EVs. Now we will wait on direction from the town as to what direction we want to go in. So I just want to make sure, Tony, you are comfortable with that wording. If not, we may want to amend it. This says really we are waiting from the town. I'm not sure if that's accurate from your perspective.
Well, Tony, unfortunately, is not on this call.
Yeah. Okay.
But I do recall from the meeting that was one of our conclusions, that what we need to do is going to be a function of what the town wants to do. And so I do believe that is an accurate reflection of what was discussed. Now, whether that is, the final word on that, that's another matter. And you're free to bring it up when we talk about that topic today. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, let's do that. Thank you.
So then on that basis, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion.
Okay. Any further comments or objections? All right. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
The minutes pass unanimously. Thank you. The next item.
Cliff, I just wanted to tell you, Christine is trying to get into the meeting, but is having a hard time getting in.
There
she is.
She's here.
Oh, great. So Christine, welcome, Christine. Nice to see you. We started the meeting, I think 4 minutes ago, and Carolyn took the minutes for the first 4 minutes. So do you want to take over from here?
Yeah, I got it.
And she will share with you what happened thus far.
Okay.
So we are now up to the third item on our agenda, which is very timely because the Whole Foods sidewalk activities start, I believe, tomorrow. I think they're Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe. And we've talked about having a table at Whole Foods. And Carolyn, I'm wondering if we can sort of pull this together, if we're going to go forward and have a schedule of people who can help out.
So at the last meeting, I had mentioned that Matt, the manager of Whole Foods, had kindly offered to allow us to, just stand at their table. It won't be our table, it'll be their table, and we'll just be standing there. So then I think a few of you had mentioned that you might have time to stand at the table to help promote the food scrap program or answer questions about recycling or, anything that has to do with our committee. So I did contact Matt and I asked him if he needed like a schedule of when people were available to work the table, or could we just stop by? And he said that we can just stop by, like if someone has an hour, now, like tomorrow afternoon or Friday morning, or two, you can just come by. So maybe we should just kind of coordinate among ourselves to see who can do what when. And, he can bring the food scrap kit that's on display at Whole Foods. And I think I have postcards. Maybe you have, I don't know who has postcards at this point, but I can just put a stack of postcards inside the food scrap kit so they're readily available, and then we'll take it from there.
That all sounds good, except one question I have is, you said we could coordinate it. Isn't this the time to do that?
Oh, okay, great. Yep, absolutely. I could go tomorrow afternoon. Um, so they're there, I think he said from 10 to 5. So don't wait for me if you all have other times that you can do it.
Carolyn, you said 10 to 5?
Yeah, I'm
10
just
to
double
5?
checking. Yeah.
See, I can do it tomorrow between 10 and 11:30.
Yeah. He says, so they can just come. One of us will be there. Our tent will be in front of the toy box. You are welcome anytime you'd like to join us. Paws will be there at some point on Thursday as well. Paws being the animal. Yeah, 10 to 5.
So Carolyn, the setup of, you said you could do Thursday afternoon. Dan has part of Thursday morning. The
I can do
setup
Thursday. I can do Thursday and Friday morning.
and Friday morning,
Yeah,
same
10
time, 10
to
to
about 11.
11:30.
Yeah. Yeah, 10 to about 11:30. I can be there.
Okay. So in
Thursday and
terms,
Friday. Mhm.
yeah, in terms of getting it set up, we need some. Would Dan have what he needed to for getting it set up?
I'll text Matt later today, and I'll ask him for whoever is at the table to bring the food scrap kit. And Dan, do you have any postcards? I know I gave you some at one point, but did you give them
They
all,
were
distribute them
gone.
all?
Yeah.
Swap shop?
Yeah, we took them. Yeah, we put them at the swap shop and they were all gone.
I'll drop a stack by in your mailbox today, if that's okay.
Okay, fine.
Okay, so that will mean that when Dan's there, everything will be ready for him. So is anyone else available on Thursday after 11:30?
Yeah,
I
I'm looking
could
at
do.
my calendar, unfortunately. Yeah, my calendar is packed. I might be able to drop in Friday evening, I think, but I will just drop in maybe 4 to 5. Yeah.
So you're saying, Moan, that you would do 4 to 5 on Friday?
Yeah.
Okay. I can pick up from Dan, I think, at 11:30, and I can stay till 1.
Tomorrow or Friday or both days?
Tomorrow, unfortunately, I have a sister in the hospital in New York, and I'm trying to figure out when I can be there for her.
Yeah.
Friday, I can do it tomorrow. Friday, I could do 10 to 11 on Friday, but Dan's already got that. Oh, Saturday, what about Saturday? Because Saturday is part of this too, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could do 10 to 11:30 on Saturday, taking over from Dan.
Dan won't be there on Saturday, will
I
you,
won't be
Dan?
there on Saturday.
He's exactly. He's doing 10 to 11:30 Thursday, Friday. I've said I would do
Okay.
that Saturday. I will
Okay.
also do 11:30 to 1 on Thursday. And Moan's doing 4 to 5 on Friday. Do we have
Mm-hmm.
any other slots we can fill? I mean, I think I think we're all understanding that we don't have to be there the whole time. We're trying to fit this in, but the idea is not to double up. Or
Right.
we should.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
don't,
Yeah,
Right.
don't double
yeah.
up.
Yep.
I can probably do
Yeah.
an hour tomorrow afternoon, and then Saturday is to be determined at this point.
Okay,
I don't know
Christine.
what my availability is yet.
So you have any sense of when? Oh, it doesn't matter. But after 1, you're saying, okay, PM after 1.
I can go
Okay.
from 1 to 2, whenever you think the most.
I don't know if it really
Impact
makes much
fee.
difference. Carolyn, do you have any preference about which hours?
Yeah, tomorrow I wouldn't be able to do it until later, like probably 3 o'clock. So that would be Thursday, 3 p.m. And that's me. And Christine, you said you would do what time?
What do you want me to do? 1 to 2, 2 to 3?
So tomorrow, Cliff will be there until 1. So if you could do any time between 1 and 3.
Okay, sure. Put that in my calendar.
And then Friday, we have Mohan. We have Dan from 10 to 11:30 and Mohan from 4 to 5. Friday's going to be a little bit tougher for me, but
Yeah.
I will find some time to go on Friday in between these times. Saturday's going to be tough for me too.
Sorry. I'm just gonna say sorry. I've got to switch, unfortunately. So I will do tomorrow, Thursday, 4 to 5. Optionally, I might do Friday, but Friday seem to be something just came on calendar. I can't skip.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mohan. You said you would be there tomorrow
I
from
will,
4 to 5.
I will do 4
Thursday?
to 5 tomorrow. Yeah. Instead of Friday
Not
because
Friday. Okay.
I do
So
Friday, but
basically, we have no coverage on Friday after 11:30 at this point.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And Saturday, we don't have any coverage after 11:30.
Right.
We should have thought about it and tried to rope in some of the kids from the club at the high school. And think about that.
Kathy maybe Kathy has some availability.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll find out.
True.
We'll find out. All right. I think we've done what we can in terms of our availability, and I think we will avoid a lot of overlap now, and we'll just see what she can do to help fill in some of the gaps.
So, Cliff, what I'll do is I wrote down when everyone said they for sure could do it. I'll just put that in a quick email, and then I know that I can put some more time in. I can't commit to it at this moment. And then Kathy can, I'm sure, put some time in. So that way we'll get a better. We'll do an email chain and get a little bit more coverage that way.
Okay.
And
Excellent.
Carolyn, you said, where is it going to be? Around the toy area?
Yeah, in front of the toy box. That's what he told me, but I'll confirm that with him.
Okay.
I'll send
Dan,
an email out after I confirm it with him.
Dan, the Toy Box is a store in Darien on Corbin Drive.
So it's not Whole Foods itself.
No, it's not.
No.
Oh, okay. I was going over to Whole Foods.
Well, that's what
It's a toy store on Corbin Drive. Got it.
Yes.
I'm not sure where the toy box is now. The
The
stores
toy
have
box.
moved.
Okay. Yeah, I know where the toy
Yes.
box is. Yeah, on
Okay.
Corbin Drive. They've moved right over to Corbin.
Correct.
Yes. Okay.
Any
So-
other discussion? Go ahead, Amon. What is it?
Just from logistics perspective, I'm going to be doing this first time. So what exactly are we doing there? Just to make sure I do the right thing.
Yeah, well, I think there's sort of a twofold purpose. One is we're trying to encourage people to recycle their food scraps and join our food scrap program. So they will have a kit there, and you can, encourage people to participate. There will also be that we have a postcard sized document that explains it to people that you can, if you can find somebody who's a little bit interested, you give them a card so they know what to do. And then more generally, if they have questions about recycling, especially single stream, answer any questions. But I think the primary thing, and Carolyn, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think our primary thing is to try to get more people to use our food scrap program.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just whoever stops by, we explain them, tell them about the program, encourage them. That's all we're doing. Just wanted to make sure that's good.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you have sort of the character of a barker, in which case you can say, "Hey, have you heard about our food scrap program?" and draw them in.
No solicitation allowed, I think. They put, we'll see. Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Are we good on that? Should we move on?
Go for it.
Okay. I'm going to take that silence as meaning we're now good on that.
Cliff, I was just going to say, in the event of rain or, bad weather, we'll just have to text each other and, you know,
Good point.
That's true, Carolyn, because
Yeah.
Saturday is supposed to be pretty miserable.
yeah.
Good point. Good point.
And we can always go on other slots, right? So that's fine. We'll just go if we have extra time. Any of us can just walk in too. So.
Yeah, and if you show up and somebody's already there, you can talk between you and determine who stays and who goes,
Or both stay and, just
Yeah,
be
that can
more
that can happen.
information.
Yes.
That can happen too. I've had some nice times with Carolyn promoting the program in different locations, so it is fun to do it together sometimes.
It is.
But with our resources so thin, we don't want to overlap unnecessarily.
Right.
So, okay, the next item on the agenda was going to be the swap shop and in particular recycling procedures, but I think that we have done some work offline and don't need to do that right here and now. Unless there's some objection, I think we can move on to the fifth item. The fifth item on our agenda was communication news. I don't know if anyone has any particular news in the communications area, either internal with respect to the town or external publications, work with other organizations. Anything important to share with the committee?
I just have one thing, Cliff. You may have noticed that there hasn't been a lot coming across our social media. And I'll just say it's good now, but my account was compromised and I could not secure it. It took me over 2 weeks to get it secure. I'm back on now, so you will start to see things from our email again. I mean, from our social media again.
Well, that's good to know. And thank you ever so much for your ongoing efforts in that regard. You're absolutely amazing and it's much appreciated.
Thank
Anything
you.
else in the communications department here? Okay, moving right along. The last item on our agenda was I guess to recap and see where we are with our key focus areas for this year. The first one being the food scrap program. There's a question here about Sustainable CT Community Match Fund grant. I'm not sure if anyone has anything to report on that. I guess not.
No, but I think we have to go fast if we want to do it, right? It's August 13th is the deadline.
Yeah.
So we should probably talk about that, if that is something we want to do.
I mean, it seems to me, if I recall correctly from prior meetings, there were a number of different things that were suggested, but I don't think anything was really settled upon. I mean,
And this isn't just a straight grant. As I recall, this is a match grant. So we would have to then, through Sustainable CT, set up that it's like a GoFundMe kind of thing. So, I mean, we would have to be asking, the public for money. There would be a certain, depending on how much we were asking for, we would have to have a certain number of discrete contributors from the public to show buy-in from the public. And I think the reason why Kathy had brought it up is because at this point, Sustainable CT is like overmatching it. So it's kind of if we were going to do it, now is kind of an opportune time to do it, but we haven't really designed a project.
Would we need to have the funding from the public in place by the August 13th deadline? Carolyn, do you know?
That I don't know, because Kathy was the one who attended the meeting where this was talked about. So I don't know. I don't have that answer.
Okay, I'll reach out to her because maybe we can put something together quickly.
All right. Well, thank you for volunteering to coordinate that. And if we can do something, great. And if it turns out we can't, well, maybe we can next year. But if we don't do anything this year, I think there's a takeaway here, and that is that for something like this, we really need to start sooner, and we need to be clear about what project we want to do and how much support we think we can get from the town as the matching grant to attract the matching grant. So this may be a missed opportunity this year, but that would be my takeaway from it. And if it isn't missed because you managed to pull something off at the last minute, Christine, God bless you.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. The
So
next
Caroline,
thing was,
sorry, quickly, does it have to be the contribution from the public, or could the town pay for it and then Sustainable City matches it? Do you know?
Yeah, it's a formula, Mohan. There has to be, depending on the amount of money that you're asking for, there has to be a discrete number of contributors from the general public. The town can contribute some money. So, for example, we have the NIPS fund where we could, put in a certain amount. And I don't have my notes in front of me, but when we were thinking about doing this for another project that we ended up not doing, I think the town could only, not the town, but just any one contributor could only contribute up to, like, I think it was 30%. You have to have, like 20 or whatever the number is based on the amount you're asking for, members of the public. They only have to give like maybe $5 or $10, but you have to be able to show that there's buy-in from the general public for the project.
Right.
The reason I brought that up is one of the things we are looking for is the EV chargers, right? So that's going to cost significant amount of money. Well, again, define significant, right? $20,000 or whatever. We were thinking we get subsidies from everywhere else. I did not know if we could combine that as a project and then get the grant. That was the reason I asked, because bulk of the money has to come from town if we were to go down that path. So,
Well, this particular community match fund is for food waste diversion and composting, so it's kind
okay,
of
then it would not qualify. Okay, sorry. Got it. Thank you.
okay. Next would be leaf blowers. Kathy was pulling together bits of information. I submitted to her what she asked for, which was a brief thing on the health detriment from these damn things. Mohan, I think you were going to give her something on.
I was going to look at the environmental impact just from carbon emissions, but unfortunately I was out of commission. I had to travel to India. I haven't done anything, unfortunately. Yeah, I will start to look at it now I'm back.
So all right, so that's the second piece. Kathy had, I think, a third piece. And so I don't know what she's done, whether she's taken the two pieces and gone to the, I think the next step was going to be for her to talk to the first select woman. But I'm not sure what she's done, if anything. So I think we'll just have to take this up again next month, and unless we can get something accomplished via email in the interim, which would be good, because we only meet 12 times a year. So if you would mind putting in the minutes, Christine, that if Kathy can progress this via chain of email in the interim, that would be great.
okay. Cliff, you're going to send me the transcript of this thing when we're done, right?
The transcript of our meeting?
Yeah.
This meeting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I don't think Cliff has ever done this. What Christine's asking for is that the link for this recorded meeting has to be sent to Jim Cameron for TV 79. And we also always send it to Christine, and you check the little box where it says transcript so she can see, like it kind of shows on the right-hand side. It has everything that people are speaking printed out. I'll help you with it.
Okay. Well, all right. Before you hang up, after I stop recording, you can instruct me how to do it. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Christine. I had no idea. Thank you.
Oh yeah, Cliff, you should be getting those too whenever you do the minutes. It makes remembering things a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I've actually gone through the whole recording when I couldn't remember something. But anyway, I don't know how I got them done for those 3 years, but I appreciate you taking over. Let me just tell you that. Sustainability events. Anything to report on sustainability events? It would appear not. Collaborative effort with the schools. So Dan, you were trying very hard to get, is it Janine or Dean or something?
David Deneen, yeah, Duke
Yeah.
Deneen. We had a brief. I meet with him once a month because we're old friends, and I told him that we want to. He told me about the Oxbridge School program, and I said, well, we really want to get over there and become part of it and work with you and head of the Board of Ed, and so he said, sure, we'll have a meeting, we'll get together. And I emailed him last week, and I still haven't heard. He's been busy as heck at work, and also I guess they're having all kinds of meetings with the board, but he'll get to us on it.
Well,
I've asked that you and I and Carolyn and Kathy be part of the committee to go and take a look at Oxridge, and he agreed to that.
okay. I guess the minutes should then reflect that you'll keep after him, and
I will keep after him. Yes.
I may just start pestering again the superintendent.
Yeah, the superintendent also. Yeah, pester him also. But
Yeah.
As Duke Deneen said, he'd love to work with us.
Well, I hope that proves to be a good path forward. There was a third path forward that we were exploring, but I think it was with a member who's absent, who was on a PTA in one of the schools. Isn't that right?
Is it Amanda?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know about that.
So maybe the minutes should reflect that we're wondering if Amanda has had anything more on this with the PTA she's involved with. Okay. Anything else on collaboration with the schools, or should we move on?
Cliff, I just have a question. I know you had spent a lot of time preparing that email to the superintendent. Did you ever get any response?
I'm sad to say I did not. I did follow up with it, including a conversation with a woman I took to be his admin, who promised me she'd be sure that he saw it. I even sent another copy of it to her. So I've followed up on it 3 times, and I didn't want to be I didn't want to beat a dead horse, but
Right.
hopefully it's not about that, and maybe if I'm more persistent, something will come of it, or if Dan is able to get something going, or Amanda. I mean, we can't
Cliff,
give up.
I don't recall. Did you see? I thought you sent that to me, right?
Yeah.
What you wrote?
Yes.
Could you send it to me again, and I'll send it directly to Duke,
Okay.
telling him that he hasn't responded to your memo.
Okay. All right. Will do.
The only thing that I'm a little concerned about is that I recall from Kathy and our meeting with the facilities director last fall that July, I believe, was the time frame that he told us that they were going to be redoing the contract with the waste hauler. So, I mean, we're not going to have a plan in place for the food scrap this month. So it's just unfortunate that, because they could possibly have, they could have gotten a contract that maybe didn't require as many visits to pick up trash if we had a plan in place for the food scrap hauling. But, we don't have control over that. So
that's a good point, and that also raises one more angle that we were trying to attack this, and that is through the facilities manager. And we should keep that as our fourth track. That's the fourth track, I think, to see if we can progress that. I think Kathy has had that contact, hasn't she?
I think she did forward your email to him and just said, I just wanted you to know that this went to Dr. Adley. So hopefully they're aware. I don't know what the bottleneck is, but it seems like, we should be able to make some progress in this area, I would hope.
Well, yeah, I think I don't think we can give up on this.
Cliff?
I think it's too important. Yeah. Dan?
Cliff, if you could also, that Rhode Island, I think, school system that implemented the program, if you could attach that also, so I can send that to him also. The two.
I'm not sure how easy it's going to be for me to find that, but I'll look for it. Okay.
I mean, Dan, what you could mention to him is it's not even just Rhode Island. I mean, in Rhode Island, I think it's statewide, but in our own state, I mean, we have Greenwich, Stamford, Wilton, Westport, right around us, West Hartford. I mean, there are a lot of
Good,
communities.
I'll mention that. I'll mention that to him. I'm gonna get to him today and say, come on, let's move on this.
Fairfield has it in some of their, not all, but some of their schools. I mean, that sometimes they implement it 1 or 2 schools at a time. Fairfield has it. I mean, yeah. So Wilton and Westport, it's in all the schools, K through 12.
So I see the minutes as an aid memoir, among other things. And so I think that on this particular topic, we've identified at least 4 different tracks. And we've identified somebody responsible for each one of these tracks. And we need to keep pursuing all of them. So I have the superintendent of schools. Dan has is he the chairman of the Board of Ed?
He's a chairman, yes.
Chairman of the Board of Ed.
If we can't do anything with him, I mean.
We've also got the director of facilities. And we've got the PTA. Did I miss one? Were there 5?
No, I think that was it.
Okay, so let's make sure that we continue to follow these 4 tracks, and each one has a person assigned to be responsible for it. So I think that's good progress. Next item we have is the EV fleet infrastructure funding update from Mohan and/or Anthony. I don't know if Ed has something to say on behalf of Anthony, but Mohan, why don't you start us off with anything you might like to share?
Yep. So right before I had to go off, we had met with a company called Verdec. They are EV charging infrastructure. They install infrastructure for government facilities and cities. So that's what they do. We met with him and he gave us the information. What next had to happen was really to get an estimate of, because I know that we had an old estimate going back to some other company which had given, which came to roughly $20,000 for installation. With the rebates, it was still going to cost money. The next ask really was for Verdec to produce a similar estimate based on the recent developments and see what would it cost, and then see how much the town has to put in, how much rebates we have to get. That's the first thing, right? To understand what is the cost structure going to be. And then if it's going to be free, we can decide. The second element of that was then how do we promote it? Depending on whatever the cost is going to be, then we can decide if we want to do this for only town fleets or open it up for public, right? There is also the element of even people using, anybody can use it, and they're also going to be charged for it. They can pay for it and use. So that facility also exists, meaning it's not necessarily free for public. Again, we can define whether we can charge or not, but that's not a whole lot of money we will make. So that's where we stood before I left. I'm meeting Tony in 30 minutes, 1:30, to pick that back up and see where we are, so that we can at least put together a proposal for the town and go from there, see what reaction is going to be going forward.
So that's interesting. I think there must be some underlying assumption there in terms of what we're trying to accomplish, which was part of our discussion last time when you weren't here. I mean, are we talking about setting up one of these things, for example, at the Department of Public Works? Are we talking about setting up one at the police department? Are we talking about setting one up for the Department of Ed? Or are we looking at trying to do several of these in different places? What is it we're really trying to accomplish in the first instance? I mean, I think the longer term objective is clear. We want it everywhere. But in the short term, what is our real objective? And my sense was that there was going to be some outreach to someone within the town. I don't know if it's the first selectman or who, to get a better handle on, what are our objectives in the short, medium, and long term?
Well, I think the objectives, I guess we need to help come to those objectives, because again, we are the sustainability committee, right? If we say we want to promote, the first thing really I'm trying to get a handle of really is how much it's going to cost. If it's going to cost 5,000 per installation, it's one thing, versus it's still going to cost 25,000. It's an entirely different thing. Also, depending on which of our locations are suitable, right? So are they easily accessible? We need to do all of that study. But again, the first thing really we need to understand how much it's going to cost, because the money is going to be a barrier to overcome or whatever. So once we have it, once you have the design and say, okay, here's how much it's going to cost for an ideal location, Cliff, then we can say, fine, here is what we propose as a committee. I really think that we should propose, and then let the selections officer, others say, okay, we can do, we cannot do, why or whatnot.
Well, I like that approach because I think that when there are things within our control, they're going to have a better chance of getting done. And it sounds to me like you're on a positive path there. There's another question, though, that relates to this, and that is, how does this relate to the town acquiring EVs?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think, yep, we talked about it. I do have the vehicle inventory, but Anthony said, you know what, can we, because again, it's also the time of Anthony, I need to be available. We need to look at it. We're going to finish this and pick up on the EV. Yes, that is the second item we will be pursuing. Call it parallelly. Again, it's all slowed down because out of town anyway. So yes, we will be looking to see. And again, our recommendation should be going forward. Any new vehicle we purchase really should be looking at EV. That's a simplistic assumption we need to make, because no point in investing in fossil fuel based vehicles going forward. Maybe that's a line we have to draw and say, maybe make a blank recommendation and say, is there going to be an acceptable feeling from the town for that, saying any town vehicle we should really pursue EV, unless there's a reason why, where you say, no, this particular vehicle, heavy equipment, there's nothing available, or can't fund it, etc., etc.
So my inclination would be to suggest that you put into writing what your recommendation is on that. But before you do, Ed, do you have any thoughts or comments on this topic?
Yeah, Cliff, I do. They're lengthy because we've been looking at this for such a long time, and I've been asked to do certain things over the years with regards to um, electric vehicles, hybrids, comparisons to what our fuel usage are. So I know the administration is trying to, if I say, dip their toe in to the EV world to see how that would benefit us. So I think Mohan and Tony are on the right track with regards to identifying, how do we set up charging station for our vehicle or vehicles, the purchase price for those vehicles, and how does that work with the model for cost benefit analysis. I think that needs to be done. I mean, we need to have to know that these purchases plus energy savings shows a benefit for the town over an extended period of time. I'm sure it's not the first couple of years, but it has to show something. That's generally how I propose any changes to Kate or the first selectman.
So I recall, I'm going to say it was 2 years ago, meeting at an EV. It was in Fairfield. I don't know what they called it, an EV Expo Day or something, with a police officer who had his Tesla there and who had done all of that work you're talking about. He had all the cost benefit analysis, all the money saved on servicing and so on, and was willing to share that with us. And I mean, it would be a shame if we have to, start from nothing and create everything on our own. I don't know what's become of all of that. I mean, I could definitely find his contact information again, but I think there's been more contact with them. That was the Fairfield Police Department, I believe.
I thought it was Westport, but
Yeah,
It might have
I
been.
think it
It
was
might have
Westport.
been. I think you're right. I think it was the Westport guy at the Fairfield Expo.
I think we also did a webinar with him also, and the gentleman that handles the state of Connecticut. So yeah, I mean, listen, the work has been done already. It still has to be put together and shown to the administration before we
Yes.
start moving on purchases that are outside the norm for us.
Okay.
I would say electric vehicles outside the norm for us.
That makes total sense to me. Now, the question in my mind then is, how does this get put together? Who has the elements and how does it get put together? Is this Mohan or is this somebody in your office or who is it?
Well, you know what? Right now, I've been talking with Tony, and Mohan and Tony have been working together. So I'm going to allow them to have their meeting at 1:30. They scheduled today, and they're going to work further on putting some bullet points together on items that they need, things that, a direction they should take this to make a recommendation, quote unquote. And if that means gathering information, if Tony needs help doing it, my department can help them do that. If Mohan can do some of it, that's good too. But we will gather the information. That's just like we do anything else. Just like Carolyn did for the food waste. Many times visiting different sites, gathering different information, calling different towns. That's how this thing is going to move forward.
Mohan, does that sound?
Yeah. No, that's always the plan. There's always the plan. Actually, I had started to put together a presentation, actually consolidating information of from our town, how many vehicles we have. I had started on it. I had shared with Tony before I went. So let me pick that back up with him. We'll work with Ed and others. So certainly, any information anybody can get from, if you go back to 2 years, if there's a contact name, whatever you guys can find, send it to me. Me and Tony will pick this up and work collaboratively, because again, there has to be collaboration with the town. Thanks, Ed, for your support here.
That is excellent. It sounds to me like we are definitely with the gears engaged here. Okay, that's the last thing that was on the agenda. Is there any other business?
Can I just say one thing? Mohan, in New Canaan, not related to purchasing an EV, but with regard to setting up a charging station, I know they haven't, or at least as of a few months ago, I know that they haven't been installed, but I know that they went through the process of, doing all the research to put in charging stations at their town hall. I believe they were going to put 2. It was in a news article. And, so maybe there's some information to gather from them in terms of how they, in terms of the costs that, in terms of their research. So, I don't know who the contact person would be, but I'm sure it would be fairly easy to find out.
Well, look it up, Caroline, but that's fine. Again, right? Honestly, this does not take a lot of work. The charging stations are much easier. It's really the element of how much it's going to cost, different vendors, and how much we can fund, how much subsidies we get. It's pretty straightforward. And the Verdeck guy had all the information too. It's not a big deal, but certainly, yes, we'll see if we can reach out to others who have done it, but it should not take a long time. Yeah, we should be fine. But I think here's a challenge though. Sorry, if I was going to say one thing, right? The challenge here is if we install the charging station and if we don't have any EVs today for town. That's a question we need to address, right? What comes first? Meaning we may end up opening it up for public first and then go for town usage. That's going to be a kind of a chicken and the egg problem you're going to be in.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say exactly that. I was going to say, Mohan, which comes first, the EV or the charger?
I would go with whatever comes first. I would go with charger first, so the town will adopt when the people starting to push them.
Well, this is in good hands. I know Kathy's also done a certain amount of research in this subject, especially with respect to school buses, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So anyway, Mohan, we really appreciate having you lead the charge on this on behalf of the committee, and we're so glad that Ed and Tony are working hand in glove with you, or vice versa. I guess it goes both ways. So that's good. Thank you. I think we have covered what we were intending to cover. Is there any other business? Then may I have a motion to adjourn and ask that Carolyn hang on afterward to show me how to do this sharing of the script with Christine. And Dan, I need to chat with you a little bit at some point soon. So I'll reach out to you as well after this meeting, okay?
Sure.
May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
Yes.
Thank you. I have a motion, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you very much. We stand adjourned. I'm going to stop the recording.
Thank you all. Take care.